Fuerteventura is one of the 7 main Canary Islands. It is to the eastern side of the archipelago. It's 15 kilometres, 9 miles south of Lanzarote, and 96 kilometres, 60 miles to the west of the Moroccan coast. It has a population of around 120,000, making it the 4th most populated island in the Canaries. Fuerteventura is the oldest island in the Canaries, dating back 20 million years to a volcanic eruption. The majority of the island was created just 5 million years ago. It's believed to have been first settled by people from North Africa. Spanish and Portuguese expeditions to the island were organised in the 1300s. It was conquered in the 1400s by Spain, and it remains part of that country to this current day.
I love Spain.
Fuerteventura has a hot desert climate and is mild but mostly windy throughout the year, and is known as the island of eternal spring. Its average daily temperature throughout the year ranges between 20 and 27 degrees.
That's nice, dear.
Jet2, TUI, Ryanair and EasyJet fly to the island. I've used all 4 airlines to fly to the Canaries and have found them okay. The only thing I've done to make the 4-hour-plus flight more bearable is book extra legroom and take my own food on the flight. Fuerteventura Airport is on the eastern coast of the island, about halfway down. It's a modern airport with plenty of facilities. If you need to collect a hire car when you get to the airport, you do so by turning left after you come through security. If you'd like to see more videos like this helping you plan your travels, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.
Your wish is my command.
When I was on the island, I first stayed at Corralejo, to the northern end of the island. It has a population of around 10,000. Ferries regularly operate from there to the neighbouring island of Lanzarote. It's also a good jump-off point for a tour of the northern parts of the island. To the southwest of Corralejo is a large national park that resembles a desert. It's full of large sandy beaches, though is very windy. However, that is a big attraction for the many windsurfers that you see there when you visit the area. You can see more details about my time in Fuerteventura on a playlist of videos on this channel.
Oh, you were too kind.
Popcorn Beach is one of the best known beaches on the island, although it's not really one for sunbathing. It's a 20-minute drive away from Corralejo on a dirt track. However, it's well worth the effort. The beach gets its name from these small pieces of rock that it's made up of that look a little like popcorn. The rock has been covered in algae and then calcified over time. You also get a great view of the neighbouring island of Lanzarote when you're at Popcorn Beach. Not far from Popcorn Beach is this volcano. If you want to walk up to the rim, there is a well-marked path. I was on the island for just a week, so couldn't go to every single attraction. So if you think I've missed something out in this video, please let me know in the comment section below, and you'll help other travellers out in the process too. El Cotillo, hopefully I've pronounced that right, is a small town to the northwestern side of Fuerteventura. It has a beach, but in truth when I was there, it wasn't really the weather to enjoy it. However, walking around the town was fantastic, and it's a great place to stop off for some lunch.
Here comes the Toledo Express, all aboard!
4 different ferries operate between Fuerteventura and Lanzarote. For a video on this channel, I travelled on all 4 to test them out. On the day I crossed between the 2 islands, it was pretty rough. If you travel on a similar day and suffer from seasickness, you may want to carefully pick out which boat you travel on. Of the 4 that I went on, I found that the large Fred Olsen dealt best with the choppy seas. However, I preferred this ferry as it was much more of a fun experience. Even though it was a little tired, I liked the bar and also the fact that it had a greenhouse and cactus on board. When you're in Corralejo, you can see another neighbouring Canary Island in addition to Lanzarote. It's the uninhabited island of Lobos. You can take a ferry to the island from Corralejo. It takes around 20 minutes or so, but make sure you apply for a permit before you go. You can do this for free online yourself, or you can pay the ferry company to do it for you. The island takes around an hour and a half to walk around, but I'd recommend taking much longer so you can pause and take in the views, including this one from the north of the island looking across to Lanzarote.
Must go, master.
Unless you're planning to spend all your time at the hotel or on the beach, a hire car is a must to get around the island. They're relatively cheap, as is the cost of petrol. The details of what I paid for 7 days for this car are on the screen now. The only thing I'd recommend is thinking about having a higher wheelbase to the car, as some of the dirt roads can be a little challenging. The main roads on the island are excellent, and if you're planning to use just those, then any car would be fine. However, if you're planning to visit some of the more remote parts of the island, you should be aware that some of the roads are a little difficult. I did see plenty of people getting to the more remote places in small cars. However, I also saw others getting stuck.
Yes, it would appear that I am stuck.
The car hire company had advised me to take a higher wheelbase car. Now look, I knew they were trying to make a little bit more money from me.
You gonna show me the money.
But I also took their advice on board. And boy, was I pleased. I felt this mini SUV was the perfect vehicle to get around the island to some of the more remote areas. At one stage in the island's history, it was divided into two kingdoms with a war between them. It was governed by two kings. They're commemorated with this statue in the middle of the island. Taking in the statue and the view from it is a 5-minute stop off if you're driving through the centre of the island. Betancuria is the old capital of the island. It's worth spending an hour or two having a look around if you're travelling through the centre of the island. Its colonial architecture is quite charming. There are also restaurants there if you want to hang around a little longer. The caves at Ajuy on the west coast of the island are touted as a must-see by many people. You need to go through the village to get to the caves. From the village to the caves, it takes around 15 to 20 minutes over this uneven ground. You then go down these stairs to get these great views of the caves. Going to the caves or coming back, you can also get the chance to feed some of the locals. Look, I know we're not supposed to do it, but they are quite cute.
They are cute, though.
Driving from Ajuy to Costa Calma, where I spent the second part of my week on the island, I stopped off at this viewpoint. It was certainly worth it, even if it was a little cold and windy. On a clear night, stargazers often come up here to take in the night sky. From what I could see, the town of Costa Calma is entirely based around tourism, although at times it looked a little unfinished. The services there were good, and this beach really was quite nice, not as windy as some of the others I've visited on the island. I guess that's why it's called Costa Calma.
You are a genius.
If you look at the south of the island on Google Maps, you can see what looks like a large band of sand, and you might assume there are some great beaches in this area. Well, you're right, there are some great beaches in the area, and I did a full video taking them all in. This, though, was my favourite of all the beaches that I've visited. I only spent a short amount of time in this resort town. However, if I was returning to the island in the future, I'd probably stay here rather than Costa Calma, as there appeared to be more available for the tourist. One of the best things I did when on the island was drive to Cofete Beach on the west coast. As the crow flies, it's around 8 kilometres 5 miles from Morro Jabale, but on the road it's 24 kilometres and 14 miles and takes around an hour, something which gives you an idea of the type of drive that it will be. Most of the drive is on dirt track, initially up to a mountain pass between the east and west side of the island. You then head down towards the coast. The views are spectacular, but there are no barriers on the side of the road. I really enjoyed the experience. However, if you're of a nervous disposition, you might not. Cofete Beach was one of the best places I visited on the island. I think it was all the more special because it felt remote. Oh, and the views were pretty spectacular. About 10 minutes drive away from the beach and probably up the most challenging road that I saw during my time on the island is Casa Winter. It was built by a supporter of the Nazi Party. His wife, later in life, claimed it was built to help develop the area for agriculture. However, there are many conspiracy theories around it, including that it was built there to help U-boat crews. The Nazi link to the house can be seen in more detail when you go inside, which costs a couple of euros, and you're faced with this eclectic collection. The last place I visited on the island was the lighthouse on the very southern tip. The roads to get there were dirt track once again, but nowhere near as challenging as to get to Cofete Beach. The views there are great, but there isn't much else to do there in truth. If you'd like to see more detail about my time in Fuerteventura, a link to a playlist is on the screen now.